So what is up, fellow YouTubers? My name's Mike, this is the MDH Automotive channel, and as always, I do appreciate you being here. Now before I get started on this video, I want to thank everyone for their support. For those of you that don't follow me on Instagram, I'm very happy to report that my wife and I welcomed a beautiful baby boy. His name is Bryson, 8 pounds, 21 inches, on July 1st. So been a little bit busy with that, enjoying him and getting used to being a new father all over again. That's been a little bit of an adjustment, but I am back and it's time to get back into videos. Now you will see Bryson in future videos, I promise. I will not monopolize him, but want to give him a little bit of time to adjust to the world before he makes his big debut on camera. So let's get into the subject of this video, shall we? Everybody that's watched the channel and watches my videos is already going to know that I'm a big Corvette guy. And I have had a number of Corvettes just in the past 13 months that I've had this channel. I have had a C4 convertible, C5 Z06, C6 Z06, and a C7 Z06. Now most people would think that I logically followed up in that order, C4, C5, C6, C7. That's actually not the case. Kind of the reverse, as a matter of fact. I started out with a C7 Z06, and while I had that C7, I ended up getting a C4, the C4 convertible there for a while. So I had both Corvettes for a little while. Then I decided that I really didn't want to have that much money tied up into one vehicle, so I decided to go ahead and get rid of the C7, and I got a C6 Z06, which I have now. Did some mods to it. As I was doing some mods and having some stuff done to the C6 Z06, I ended up getting a C5 Z06 on a trade for another vehicle. So I ended up selling the C5 not that long after I got it. And to be quite honest with you, I kind of regretted it in a way. I really enjoyed that car. I like the looks of it. I like the color. I like the way it sounded, the way it drove, and I kind of regretted it. And you might remember a couple videos back I even mentioned thinking about selling the C6 and going back to a C5. And so the other day I'm out looking on Craigslist, as I normally do. I'm looking on there and I'm thumbing through everything, and I noticed my C5 Z06 that I had sold about 4 or 5 months ago listed for sale. So turns out, because I hit the owner up, and it turns out that he had bought it off the guy I'd sold it to. So we talked back and forth, and I was really going to buy the car. I thought, cool, I'm going to buy the car back. I like the car, I like the color combination, I like the chrome rims, I like the way it was done up, and I was going to be very happy with that. So he's about an hour and a half away. I asked him if he could bring it to me for a set price. He said yes. We were going to do it this past weekend, and then this 2004 had dropped in my lap, actually. So I ended up going with the 2004 here locally. Those of you that know me know that I like dealing local. I like it when it's close by. And really the guy that had this car, this 2004, just seemed like a really nice guy. I met him, we talked for quite a little while, shot the breeze back and forth, and I really kind of connected with the guy, felt really comfortable with the whole situation. So I decided to go ahead and just buy his car outright. And so that's exactly what I did. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the new Corvette C5 2004 Z06. We're going to take a quick walk around it. I just want you guys just to kind of pay attention to the detail, the paint, wheels and tires, just the overall condition of the car. You can see that LS6, very clean. See the interior. From what you can see of it, I know it's kind of dark, I apologize. But would you believe this car has 109,000 miles on it? Yes, 109,000 miles. I was actually a little taken aback by the mileage, because normally Corvettes are fairly low mileage cars. The one that I had, the 2002, was like 62,000 miles when I sold it. I think it's like 64,000 miles now. So that kind of threw me off a little bit, but I've seen a lot of these C5 Z06s with mileages up around 150, 180,000 miles. And really, for as much as I drive the car, like I said, it's 109,000 right now, it'll be a long time before I see 110,000, and this motor should be good for at least another 40, 50,000 miles fairly easily before anything would have to be done to it. Anybody would have to worry about anything major, and by that time I'm sure I'll have sold the car, traded the car, or went on to something else, because ultimately my goal, my ultimate Corvette to have down the road is I want to have a C2. That would be my ultimate goal, is to get a C2. But that's another video and another story. So let me tell you, let's walk around this car. Let me tell you a little bit about the vehicle. First thing that he did all HID lights on the outside, which is kind of cool. It's got like the halo taillights in the back, and it looks really, really cool. Backup lights, license plate lamp, everything like that. So that I thought was kind of nice and cool. I haven't driven it at night yet, so I don't know how well the headlights do, but he tells me they do very, very well. Now, another thing that was interesting with this car that really kind of caught my attention, I thought was cool, but it's subtle, not a lot of people would notice, is that normally the C5s have 18s in the back, 17s in the front. Well, this has 18 by 10.5 wheels all the way around. Now, it still does have the 265 tires up front and the 275s in the, or I'm sorry, the 295s in the back. But I think it kind of gives the car a good look. It kind of fills up the wheel a little bit more and gives the car a good look. You know, I thought about maybe some aftermarket wheels, and I was looking at some other Corvettes, some other C5s with aftermarket wheels, but these really do work. The Speedline wheels are really nice. He also has ceramic brake pads on it, which I've noticed there's hardly any brake dust, comparatively speaking, which I very, very much like. As far as upgrades for the car itself, you guys might have noticed, but it does have Corvette, I guess that's how you say it, Corvette racing seats in them. So that saves a little bit of weight, and they really do hug you very, very nicely. It's got the short shifter with the different shift, you know, the aftermarket shift ball on it, which I think looks a little bit better. I am not a big fan of the C5 shifters. It's a carryover from the C4. I don't think they were that great for the C4, but oh well, they worked. But to carry it into the C5 was a mistake. So I do like that upgrade, and it's got all like HID lights on the inside. You can kind of see like the HVAC system and everything like that is lit up really nicely. These lights in here lit up really nicely. So I really like that. As far as performance upgrades done to the car, it's got a cold air intake. It's got LS7 exhaust manifold and catalytic converter, so this thing is still smog legal, and it's got a catback exhaust system on it, which sounds really, really good. You guys will hear it when I do start it up, and we take it around the block. So basically just had everything that I wanted as far as upgrades go. Everything that I would have thought about doing, even some stuff I probably wouldn't have sprung to do, still was done, and I like it. It's just a nice setup, and I really do enjoy driving the car. Smoother, it's more like butter. This is very mechanical, very notch. You've got to work to get it into the gears. You know, the ride is a little bit better in a C6. Obviously, the technology, the power, the look of the C6. It's got the wider hips on it, bigger tires on the back. I love that look. The C6 is a better car, I'm telling you. Probably even for the money, but there's just something about the C5. There's something about this car I really, really enjoy. It's got enough for me to make it worth my while. I guess what it comes down to is, you know, yeah, obviously I can have a C7 ZR1 if I wanted to invest $150,000. I just can't see having all that money wrapped up in one car. And while, like I said, I am going to lose some money on this whole deal when it comes back around. I know I'm not going to get my money back out of the C6. I feel like the C5 is probably about bottomed out depreciation wise. I don't think it's going to go much lower than it is right now. So I'm fairly happy where I got in on this car, and I feel like I can get my money back out of it even in a year from now if I just take care of it, which I do take care of my vehicles very well. You know, there's no doubt about it that Chevy has upped its game every year. Every year when they come out with a new generation of Corvette, it's gotten better and better. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And like I said, I love the C6s, I love the C7s, but I don't know, there's just, when it all came down to it, the idea of being able to still have a really Z06, and then maybe getting another vehicle or putting some cash back in my pocket, which I'll probably end up getting another vehicle. This just seemed like the appealing way to go. And I've been having a lot of fun driving this car. Even on these bumpy roads in Merced County, still haven't fixed them. It's ridiculous. So, you know, the car is very healthy. It's 400 horsepower stock. Back in 2004, that was just a beast. Nowadays, obviously 400 horsepower is nothing when you got cars that are coming from the factory with almost 800 horsepower. But this car gets down the road very, very nicely. I do like to try to drive it in competition mode when I remember to set it, which I'm doing right now. It makes it a little bit more fun for spirited driving. And I want you guys to bear in mind right now the air conditioning is on, but C5 that I've owned is the clutch. When you bang on the clutch like that, the clutch feels very heavy and just like there's like no pedal, almost like the clutch is going out, but it's not. It comes right back immediately. So that's kind of a bummer. Wouldn't be a really great car to take out to like a drag or, you know, racing all the time or whatever, because you do lose that clutch feel on it, and I don't know why that is. Maybe they just didn't, Chevy just didn't manufacture a really good clutch in these cars stock. But I did not notice that in the C6 ever, or of course the C7. But I dig this car, I really do. It's got a nice sound to it, it's got a nice feel to it. These seats, these Corvo seats, really do hold you in place very, very nicely. Definitely going to keep me on my diet because I couldn't gain very much more weight and still fit in these things. Okay, so in closing, good decision, bad decision, pros, cons, what do you guys think? I want to hear from you. Certainly the C6 is definitely superior to the C5, just like the C7 was superior to the C6. You know, but the C6 definitely has more horsepower. It's probably close to 200 wheel horsepower more. They're about the same weight. The C6 has more technology in it. It's more advanced. There's, you know, obviously 3 more years of technology in that car. So it's definitely a better car in that respect. But all that being said, I still get just a little bit more excited about the C5. I just feel more drawn to it, more comfortable with it. And with the Corvo seats, it gives it a completely different feel. I know I really enjoy driving this car and I like it a lot. And I might be inclined to drive it a little bit more than I was going to drive or have driven the C6. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. But I did want to touch bases on this, and I kind of talked about it on the drive, but I wanted to touch bases. You know, this car, 405 horsepower from the factory. Now, back in 2004, that was a very impressive number, and I've got a fly running around here, so if I'm doing this every now and then, it's not that I'm crazy completely, it's just I'm trying to get rid of this fly because they're very annoying. Anyway, but 405 horsepower is very impressive in 2004. As a matter of fact, in 2004, this was the biggest, baddest Corvette that you could buy, the biggest, baddest Corvette that had been made up to that point. It was a beast. But we have become so spoiled with these cars from the factory that are 600, 700, 800 horsepower. I mean, you now got the Hellcat Red Eye that's coming out with 797 horsepower. You got the Z06 at 755 horsepower. You've got the new GT500 that's supposed to be in the mid 7, even close to 800 horsepower. So, you know, you hear 400 horsepower, you really don't think that much about it. You think, I can get that out of a Prius, right? But still, 400 horsepower is still a very impressive number, especially in a lightweight car. And this car really performs very, very well. And definitely get a person in trouble very quickly. So, yeah, it's kind of cool being able to say, okay, that car is well over 600 horsepower at the crank. But, you know, it is what it is. And this car is probably, according to my calculations, based on what it dynoed at, I would say it's probably, but according to my calculations based on what the car dynoed at, I would say this car is probably around 430, 440 horsepower, roughly. I think it dynoed at 388 conservatively. So, you know, not huge numbers, but still very impressive. And I know that there's a lot more if I wanted. If I want to go into this car and start twinkling with it and doing things with it, I've seen Z06's twin turbos up around 600 horsepower. So it would be an absolute animal if I decided to go that direction. But the problem is I've just got so many other toys, so many other projects on other toys and things that I want to do, and then there's always that next car that I want to buy. So that's kind of what drives me to do this. I'm always going to have a Corvette, and this is going to be it. I mean, unless I can get a C2, 63 through 67, then this is going to be the one, at least this. I may step back up at some point in time to a C6 or even a C7, but at this point in time, this car I think is going to suit me very, very well, and I'm going to enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's like I've said before, if money wasn't an object, or if I didn't want to have all the other vehicles that I have, if I wanted to cut the collection in half or whatever and just have one bad Corvette, I would go out and put my money down on a 2019 ZR1 without a doubt. But I just do not want to drop 150 grand into one car. It just doesn't make sense to me. I would rather drop 15 grand into a car and take that extra 135 and put into other vehicles, which is essentially what I've done, which is the way I look at it. So that being said, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Hit the bell icon so you know when I upload a video. Also follow me on Instagram. I do a lot on there. I post pictures and let everybody know when I'm uploading a new video, so that's always a good time. P.O. boxes always will be in the description below, as well as Instagram. And as always, I welcome the comments. So if you've got a comment, pro, con, up, down, whether it's supportive or completely opposite of what I'm doing, let me know. I would love to hear from you. I appreciate it. Yeah, with that, God bless, take care, have an absolutely amazing day.